I was really kind of surprised when I woke up and saw that they'd released this, because I thought they said that they weren't talking anymore about the new season until the new season, or until the stream.
Like the inevitable lightning that follows storm clouds, Arc 3.0 single quote S time has finally arrived. In
Mm-hmm.
2022, the original trio of elemental subclasses that power Guardians in Destiny 2 have been undergoing a major overhaul. Void was the first subclass to get the 3.0 treatment with the launch of the Witch Queen expansion. Arc is really just go fast and hit stuff, said Destiny designer Sam Dunn, when asked about the core fantasy that powered the Arc
Okay, there it
3.0
is.
revamp.
Found it.
We call it the whole W single quote subclass. Everything is
That's
built
every
around moving
subclass,
forward and
bro.
enabling
That is not
aggression and those
exclusive to
abilities.
Arc.
Before we dive into the class-specific Arc abilities, let's
Okay.
talk about the buffs and debuffs that are key to the Arc 3.0 experience. First up is a new buff, Amplified, which is key to the Arc 3.0 experience.
Alright.
An Amplified Guardian is faster, both in terms of movement speed and in terms of their weapon handling, and more agile, able to perform long slides that can function as a devastating setup for some of the attacks that follow.
Alright.
Unlike other damage-type buffs, players don't need to equip any specific aspects or fragments to become amplified.
Good.
By default, all Arc classes become amplified after rapidly defeating targets with any Arc damage, and equipped aspects and fragments offer additional ways to become or benefit from being amplified. After
Forbearance,
sprinting for a few
boys.
seconds, an amplified Guardian will gain another boost in speed, gaining a sizable PvE damage resistance buff, and enabling an even longer
More
slide
damage
ability.
resistance?
Even if a player is no longer amplified, as long as they keep sprinting, the speed booster buff will stay active. Speed booster probably took the longest for me to get on board with, in that you were already moving faster to begin with, said Humboldt. When asked about the process of developing and refining the verbs for Arc 3.0, adding PvE damage resistance to Speed Booster to cement it as a strong gap-closing tool, and seeing it being used to move from one cover to the next in playtesting really brought it all together for me. You start sprinting and then you hear this audio swell start to come up, and then you're like a jet engine, rocketing around the arena. It's awesome. On the debuffs side, Arc 3.0 is bringing two to the party, Blind and Jolt. Blinded opponents in PvE won't be able to see and will also be disoriented and unable to fire their weapon. In PvP, blinded opponents will have their screen whited out and their HUD removed for a short period of time alongside a distorted, washed-out audio effect. Jolted opponents who are damaged will periodically send slivers of chain lightning out to nearby enemies, damaging them in the process. Arc 3.0 also democratizes Iona traces, which were previously available only to middle tree warlocks. Now available to all, traces are objects that, when collected, will add energy for all your abilities. Now that you are familiar with the basics, let's jump into the classes themselves to see how they'll be making the most of Arc 3.0.
Blind and Jolt? They're giving blinding to Arc? Dude, nothing is gonna shoot back. The question is how do you blind and jolt? If you're getting your abilities constantly, bro, nothing is gonna shoot back. The only things that shoot back are bosses and champs. Keep reading. I will not keep reading. The TTS will keep reading.
A hunter dashing forward, crackling with the power of Arc lightning, is a sight that is sure to strike fear in the heart of any enemy. As with previous subclass revamps, the team had definite images in mind when considering what the new Arc should feel like in combat.
Alright.
For Hunter, the team imagined the graceful warrior monk, giving the hunter the ability to get in close quarters quickly and effectively make
The
a mess
graceful
of their
warrior
opponents in
monk.
the process.
What am I,
For
Aang?
hunters, we wanted to reward staying in close and being safe while you're in close quarters with an enemy, which is very difficult to do in a lot of our content,
Dude.
said Humboldt. We wanted to give them tools to stay alive while they either closed the gap or
For hunters, we wanted to reward staying close and being safe while you're close quarters with an enemy, which is very difficult to do in a lot of our content.
We wanted to give them tools to stay alive while they either closed the gap or were in a melee combo. That came primarily in the form of giving them crowd control tools. To that end, the Hunter's Arc Staff Super is returning. With Arc Staff, Hunters will be able to block and deflect projectiles with a press of a button as well as perform an armored dodge where,
Yeah, we
upon
kind of
dodging,
figured.
the Hunter is more resistant to incoming damage. But one super just
Ooh.
didn't seem like enough to the team.
Maybe?
Thus the introduction of a brand new arc-themed super, the Gathering Storm. Here, the Hunter leaps into the air, hurling their staff into the ground like a
Oh
spear.
no.
Upon impact, the staff emits a damaging burst that jolts nearby enemies. Soon after, a giant bolt of lightning strikes the staff and overcharges it, creating a large damage zone around it for several seconds. While overcharged, the staff sends out arcs of lightning to damage any enemies that move near it. On the melee side, the team kept the Hunter's combination blow ability.
Oh my
feeling
god.
like it was right in line with the graceful warrior fantasy that they were going for.
Yeah, man,
Kills
sure.
with combination blow will refund dodge energy, increase melee damage, and restore
my
a small
god.
amount of health, allowing skilled hunters to chain their dodges and melee attacks into balletic bursts of beautiful fury. In addition, the disorienting blow melee returns, blinding opponents with a devastating palm attack, while also now amplifying the hunter along the way.
So you're telling me if I run Liar's Handshake with 1-2 punch, not only am I going to get dodge energy back, it's going to increase my melee damage, restore my health, and blind opponents. In addition, the disorienting blow melee returns blinding opponents. So this is a completely separate melee? Kills with combination blow. It doesn't say that this is a different melee though, does it? Is combination blow going to be a different melee than the disorienting blow? Well, that would make sense since they're both blow. Okay, anyway.
In addition, the disorienting
Never mind.
blow melee returns,
Take back what I said.
blinding opponents with a devastating palm attack, while also now amplifying the hunter along the way. Hunters will be able to choose from 3 arc aspects to customize their tactical style. Flow state. Defeating a jolted opponent causes you to become amplified. When amplified, the hunter's dodge will recharge faster and make you more resistant to damage, and you have quicker reload times.
Okay.
Tempest Strike allows the hunter to perform a sliding melee that launches an arc wave along the ground, dealing significant damage and jolting enemies in its path.
That's the one
Lethal
that's already in the game in his
After
bones,
dodging,
right?
the hunter's melee lunge range is increased and their next melee attack jolts the target and creates a damaging lightning aftershock.
Yeah, that's gonna
When
be
used with
busted.
the Arc Staff Super, after dodging, the hunter's next staff light attack hits twice. In addition, hitting a jolted enemy with a melee attack will blind them. Finally, and of particular note, Arc 3.0 will also bring back the blink movement mode for Arc Hunters. In
Is this
fact,
the part where I act
the blink
surprised?
ability will also include a baseline buff for any class that has access to it.
Whoa!
Blink hasn't really been touched since Destiny 2 S release,
I
and
wonder
never
why.
quite reached the heights of its previous reign of terror, Humboldt said. We felt like this was a good time to walk a few of the tuning changes back a little and bring Blink's potency at baseline up without needing an exotic equipped. In practical terms, that means an increased travel distance and a reworked recharge model for the ability that will keep it fresh while still maintaining its effectiveness. Warlock. Player
Right.
fantasies don't come any more vivid than what the team had in mind for Arc 3.0 Warlocks. 2 separate images were top of mind, the Lightning Shaman and Emperor Palpatine in full Lightning Fingers mode while turning Luke Skywalker into burnt toast. We wanted the player to feel like they are channeling the power of the storm through their body, said Dunn. Controlling the storm, controlling lightning like an elemental conduit. 2 supers will be available for Warlocks. Chaos Reach, where players will be able to shoot concentrated beams of arc energy out of their hand to decimate opponents, and Storm Trance, which is more akin to the image of Palpatine floating around the world, firing electricity from their fingers. This super
Why are they
combines both the
redescribing supers
landfall
that we've had
behavior
for
from previous bottom
4
tier
years
arc
now?
and the ionic blink behavior from the old top tree arc, allowing the Warlock to teleport briefly during the super. Warlocks will have 2 melees available, both utilizing the power of lightning. The ball lightning melee will send out a floating ball of arc energy that detonates, zapping enemies down from above.
Detonates?
Chain lightning will send out arcs of lightning to strike and jolt the primary target and chain damage to surrounding enemies in the process. The Warlock's whole thing is that being amplified modifies their abilities. It powers them up, said Dunn. For ball lightning, if you're amplified, the arc ball will fly out and zap enemies 3 times instead of just the normal 1 time, so you can get more damage out of it.
Yeah.
For chain lightning, it chains to more targets. More specifically, while normal chain lightning creates a single set of chains that bounce between a set of number of targets, when amplified, the ability creates 2 sets of chains, and can potentially jump to twice the number of enemies. 3 aspects will be available for Warlocks. Arc Soul. The Warlock casts a rift to create an Arc Soul that will assist the player in battle. Allies who pass through the rift will also earn an Arc Soul. The rift charges faster when allies are near. While amplified, any Arc Soul you have or gain is supercharged, increasing its rate of fire.
Oh my god.
Lightning Surge. The Warlock activates their melee while sliding to transform into a ball of lightning and teleport forward, calling down a field of lightning bolts at the exit point that jolts targets. Electrostatic Mind. Arc ability kills and kills on arc debuffed enemies create ionic traces. When you collect any ionic trace, you become amplified. Titan. Titans haven't traditionally been known as paragons of mobility, but with Arc 3.0, the team is shaking things up. The team's had a couple of inspirations in mind for the Titan Arc revamp: the Lead with Your Fists Bare Knuckle Brawler and the Freight Train. You don't get to move the Arc Titan, Humboldt said, they move you. The Arc Titan's ultimate goal is to punch you in the face, and so a lot of what we did for Arc Titan was to try and figure out how we facilitate fist-to-face contact as much as possible. That desire to punch all the things manifests in a couple of devastating supers that are returning for Arc 3.0, Fist of Havoc and Thunder Crash. While the latter is practically unchanged from before, Fist of Havoc now has an adjusted slam radius that's halfway between top and bottom path, and the ground slam leaves a damaging field in its wake, while slamming from the air causes damaging ow effect. In the case of Thunder Crash, uncoupling a subclass abilities from the old subclass Diamond system will result in some substantial buffs depending on how players use it. It's one of the intrinsic advantages that the new subclass 3.0 system brings to Destiny. When you start pairing them with different things, even though nothing changed about the actual ability, they can end up getting significantly stronger as a result. Because now they aren't locked into a canned set of perks that surrounded them, Humboldt said. Thunder Crash is a great example of that. One of the biggest changes coming to the Arc Titan is a new Thruster class ability. By double tapping a button while on the ground, the Titan bursts in their throttle direction at speed, performing a quick first-person evade, comparable in distance to a hunter's dodge. Arc is the damage type that is about mobility, so if we were going to add a mobility boost anywhere, it was going to be here, said Humboldt.
For Titans.
For melee attacks, Titans will retain the seismic
for the
strike
tank
shoulder
character,
charge, which blinds enemies.
Oh my god.
Performing a seismic strike, while amplified, will increase the radius of the blind, and the blinding effect will last longer. Ballistic Slam also returns, where players can slam the ground after sprinting in the air, creating a damaging explosion upon impact.
Yeah, it's not Gary.
Melees will be joined by a brand new charged attack known as Thunderclap. Here, the Titan player holds the melee button and charges up arc energy that can be unleashed in either a quick powerful jab or held and build up, to be unleashed in a furious one-punch-man style blast that will devastate.
Okay, hold on. It's not Gary. I don't know what people are expecting. Thruster ability. Double tapping a button while on the ground. It's like a hunter dodge. You can't hunter dodge in the air, guys. Yeah, this is where they said mom said we have Gary at home. Okay? You know, 100% what this is going to lead to, though. I would not be surprised if Titans get, like, Shatter Skate type speed now with this. You hit the dodge with an eager edge. Boom! Because I guarantee you that was not tested. I guarantee you it was not tested.
To be unleashed in a furious one-punch-man style blast that will devastate an opponent. The charged state cannot be stored and the Titan must be on the ground to charge the punch. The damage is significant. A 90% charged Thunderclap will one-shot Guardians.
I'll show you my Thunderclap.
But that reward will be balanced by the time it will take to build up that charge level and the fact that you must remain stationary to charge. Always a dangerous move in PvP.
Yeah, man.
Like the other subclasses, Arc 3.0 Titans will have 3 aspects to select from. Touch of Thunder improves arc grenades in the following ways. Flashbang fires an additional blind impulse on its first bounce.
Oh,
Pulse.
brother.
When the grenade damages an enemy, it creates an ionic trace for the Titan. Pulse grenade damage increases over time as the grenade lingers after impact. Lightning grants an additional charge for lightning grenade, and jolts targets on initial blast. Storm creates a roaming thundercloud that moves and tracks enemies, firing lightning bolts at the ground underneath it. Juggernaut, while
hell no!
Class ability energy, the Titan gains a frontal shield that blocks incoming damage. When amplified, the shield is stronger. Once the shield is depleted by taking damage, the player's class energy is depleted.
Oh no.
Knockout. Melee kills trigger health regeneration and make the Titan amplified. Critically wounding an enemy or breaking their shield increases melee range and damage for a brief period. Titan's base melee becomes arcing powered while knockout is active. To complement the class-specific aspects, Arc 3.0 will also introduce a suite of new fragments, which offer new perks to build upon as well as add bonuses to your Guardian's intrinsic stats. Here's a look at a few of the fragments to come. Spark of Beacons. When the player is amplified, Arc special weapon kills create a blinding explosion. Spark of Resistance. When surrounded by enemies, the player has increased damage resistance. Spark of Momentum. Sliding over ammo will reload your weapon and grant a small amount of melee energy. Sliding over heavy ammo increases the amount of energy granted. Spark of Shock. The player's arc grenades jolt enemies. In all, the changes that are coming with Arc 3.0 will give Guardians more ways to bring the pain to the enemies of humanity.
Like, this all sounds super cool, but just not in PvP. This sounds like PvP is gonna get worse. PvE, this all sounds sick. Juggernaut. Blocks incoming damage while sprinting. I remember how annoying this was in D1. This is the thing I have a problem with in PvP. A roaming thundercloud that moves and tracks enemies, similar to the Stasis Hunter Silence and Squall. Because I'm gonna be honest, like, dude, the whole Hunter thing sounds kind of sick in PvP. Like, it sounds like they'll have better movement, but then again, without video, it's hard to say. The one thing I wasn't really about as far as PvP Hunter goes is it sounds like they have a Panic Super, another Panic Super. The staff slam thing or whatever, again, sounds sick in PvE, but PvP, it just, dude, how can you have a realistic expectation to have more gunplay in PvP and then add more and more abilities for people to abuse? The other thing that's going to be absolutely fucking busted, when players amplified, Arc special weapon kills create a blinding explosion. Forbearance is going to cause entire rooms to explode. Yeah, I think they're gonna realize pretty quickly how busted blinding is and might have to tone it down. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last hurrah for blinding before it goes out the window. I genuinely feel, yeah, I feel like this day one is going to be a joke for Kingsfall. You're gonna have arc abilities that basically, like, if you do it right, you could just blind everything. Yeah, don't even chat. That's the other thing that's missing, guys. You realize Arc 3.0 is coming? We've seen all this. We haven't even seen the artifact mods yet. Dude, Titan is gonna be busted. I'm telling you. Titan is going to be absolutely fucking busted. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. The thing I'm really confused about is how are they gonna, like, people on controller, if Arc hunters are moving faster, like they're literally sprinting really fast, how are they gonna be able to track? Because a lot of people on console are like casual Andes, and they're gonna be so confused when people are zooming left and right. I'm gonna be honest, this is me being a little bit Titan biased here. That Titan dodge that they're adding, if it's not able to move like Shatterskate, I'm gonna be a little sad. Like, this all sounds really cool for PvE, but I just feel like my want to play PvP is going to go out the window even more, and it just makes me sad. So I might have to find like a new PvP game to play.